Okay, people, it's time for me to make a definitive decision about the Jenner. I've been testing this thing out for a couple of missions now, and I'm overall pretty satisfied with it, but it hasn't done anything to blow me out of the water. But hopefully, on this mission, it'll change my mind 100%, and I'll fall in love with this mech and never go on another mission without it. Otherwise, I'm putting it in the scrap heap. So, this is a battle mission in the desert. It is a 2-star difficulty with a maximum payout of 700 grand. So if we choose to take the maximum payout, we'll double our current funds, which seems like a pretty good idea. Especially because we can't get any reputation bonus for this mission. So you know what? I'm going to go for the double funds. You know what? No. We got to have at least one guaranteed piece of salvage just in case there's a mech that we want to take. So we'll get one guaranteed and 4 random with a 561 grand reward. That feels pretty good. It's a battle mission, so it's basically just kill all the enemies, so it shouldn't be too crazy. But because it is 2-star, we're probably going to run into a lot of mechs, and we might see the infamous LRM 60s coming back to the field. So let's cross our fingers that there's not too many of those. Let's check out our squad composition and get right into the action. We haven't advanced the timeline at all since our previous mission, so our squad composition is exactly the same as it was before, and it worked really well the last time. I'm hoping it does so again this time. The Blackjack did incredibly well with the AC5 Plus and the AC5. We were hammering targets for 90 damage from very long ranges, and that felt incredible. The Blackjack is very safe as it is now. It's not as heavily armored as our other 2 medium mechs, but that's okay because we're sitting back far out of the effective range of a lot of other enemies, and we have the Bulwark ability, reducing our damage taken by 50%. The Vindicator Vinny hasn't changed at all. Bunch of lasers, bunch of jump jets, bunch of heat sinks. Same for the Centurion, it's exactly the same. SRM-6s, we're going to spam those things as much as we can. We've got 300 rounds. I'm not going to be cheap with them. I'm going to fire them on every single turn that's available. The Jenner is the real thing that I'm trying to test, though. I want to fall in love with this mech so badly. It's got so much firepower. 4 medium lasers, SRM-4 plus, SRM-4, 1 jump jet just in case it needs to climb up a hill. But it can pack so much punch. So that's what we're going to try to do today. We're going to try and pack that punch on the enemies. So let's get out there and put in some work. The local government and citizens here have been suffering at the hands of a local band of brigands, remnants from a pirate battalion that saw action in the Third Succession War. With no prospects or funds, they've become common criminals. You are to eliminate them, down to the last mech and vehicle. Commander, we can expect to face experienced pilots and elderly mechs and vehicles, but be careful, there could be more of these bandits than the planetary government is letting on. That makes me a little bit nervous, but okay, there's nothing we can do about it now except take them out.
Time to earn our pay.
Yes, indeed, it is time to earn our pay. We are starting off on top of a ledge, which means we could get some incredible use out of the Blackjack from up here. We have the height advantage, so that should reduce the difficulty on most of our shots. And we've already got enemy contact, so that's maybe a little bit scary. And I nearly forgot to turn on hyperspeed mode. I can't play this game without it now.
On my way.
It's just so much faster. Alright, so it looks like we got 3 lightweight targets and no middleweight targets, at least that we can see so far. So we'll reserve the first action and see what they do, and we'll go from there. Dekker taking a little bit of heat, but the shot gonna whiz right past his torso, taking off some of his evasion. What was that? A commando. I've seen those before, and they pack a decent punch. We got a PPC shot coming from downrange. Dekker must be the only one that they can see, so they're going to hammer into him. That's a bit worrying. Now, that's a 20-ton mech. That's probably a Locust firing a couple of LRMs, but none of them going to connect. That's really nothing to worry about. So with that, we've seen the bulk of their forces, and I am thoroughly unimpressed by what I've found. So I think we're just going to go in and start raining some death on them. I'm not going to use Dekker to sensor lock this time. I'm going to be a bit more aggressive with him. So we'll move up with our Blackjack to start things off. Put him in the forest. And we've got a commando, Still don't know what that is, but it's probably a locust, and we don't know what that is in the back. This commando that's up front, it has less evasion, so we'll fire at him first. But we'll do a multi-target here. Why not? Just for giggles. Oh no, he's too far out of range. Never mind, we won't do a multi-target. We'll just fire at the front commando. Sure, we'll fire with everything.
Firing all weapons.
Nice. That was a very good burst of damage. Exposed the core on him and everything. These under-repaired mechs are very weak, to put it lightly. They get chewed up insanely fast by any amount of fire.
On the move.
I almost feel bad for them. Just the amount of damage that we can pump out is it makes them feel like not even a challenge. I mean, we incapacitated the pilot and destroyed the mech simultaneously. To wrap it up, I suppose what I'll do is I'll move not Dekker. I'll move Medusa forward, and I think this will give me eyes on the locust. And yes, it did. And we see that he's got a lot of evasion. So even if Dekker was to fire at him, he'd probably miss. So that's kind of annoying. But this locust is going to constantly have 4 points of evasion. So the only thing that I can really do is shoot at him. So yeah, let's just fire everything. And just like that, we destroyed one of his legs. So that got rid of all the evasion. If this is a 2-star mission, if we don't get reinforcements, this is a damn joke. This is silly. This is actually silly. Because we've already destroyed 1/4 of the enemy forces, and we're not even breaking a sweat. I mean, granted, we got a lucky laser shot in there on the leg, but holy crap, could you at least put a little more than 2 armor on it? I mean, come on, guy.
Roger.
Come on, guy.
Target neutralized.
It's such an overkill. Wow, it really is just these 4. If we don't get reinforcements, this is gonna be stupid. And once again, this is not really proving the point that I'm trying to prove. I want to find out if the glass cannon Jenner is super valuable. I mean, it put out a lot of nice damage, but that was a locust that's been poorly kept up, so it doesn't really matter. But okay, we've got a Panther on the field. So, all right, here's the test. The test will be if I can flank the Panther with my Jenner before the rest of my squad kills it, then the Jenner is cool. But if I can't, then I'm probably going to stop using this mech.
Heads up, Commander. You've got hostile contacts inbound.
Reinforcements are coming. We don't know where they are yet, but they're somewhere on the battlefield. So maybe I won't use Dekker to flank the Panther. I'll use him to scout around a little bit. So we'll start things off. We will move him a bit to rebuild the evasion, but we'll use his sensor lock as well. So once again, just failing to prove any sort of point about the glass cannon build, but it's totally fine.
Got a lock.
It obviously doesn't matter.
Engaging target.
You know, it's a never-ending debate, and that's the thing though that I love about RPGs and strategy games. When you can have a debate both with yourself and other people about what the optimal strategy is for something, and you feel like you never really have the answer. You know, you come up with these ideas and you think they're good, and they are good, but there's always this point and counterpoint to everything you do. That is the hallmark of a good game for me. And I love that about games. I mean, there was this is the Armored Core franchise. I used to play it a lot on the Xbox 360 and a little bit on the PlayStation 2. And it was a giant robot game just like this. And I would spend so many freaking hours to the point where it was probably unhealthy just customizing and tweaking my mechs to make the perfect killing machine and just moving up and trying to see if I could get just one more point of mobility or one extra damage or whatever it happened to be and then I would get a build that I felt was perfect, and then I would go into a multiplayer match and it would be so much fun, and then the other person would have a build and I would be like, oh crap, everything that I did is crappy and I have to start from scratch again. And that's how I feel with Battletech sometimes. You know, I come up with these ideas and they're pretty good. They work for the most part, and I think they're good because they're pretty good. But at the same time, there's always going to be other options. There's always going to be other strategies. So yeah, man, it's that never-ending cycle. Now that mech on the hill, I didn't get to see what the tonnage was, but it is another lightweight most likely because it's moving in the 4th initiative phase. But it does have some long-range capabilities. So we'll try and close the distance as best as possible. Now Vinny's taking some shots from that PPC right in the core. Our core only has 8 armor left, so we're gonna have to be a bit more careful with Vinny because that's not good. That's a pretty heavy hit, actually. That could end very poorly if another sniper-style mech comes on the battlefield. So here's what we're gonna do. Something a little bit risky. We're gonna rush Dekker full speed ahead into the forest.
I copy.
And that's going to give us vision on a lot of enemies. They sent a lot of reinforcements. This is actually a little bit uncomfortable. They sent a lot of reinforcements, didn't they? It's basically another full lance of enemies. So we're dealing with 8 enemies in total for this mission, with the Panther being the final one from the first set that we had to deal with. So we're gonna take this thing out with the barrage of short-range missiles again, but I should probably move into cover before doing it because this is not ideal. We're actually in a kind of tight spot because there's so many enemies to deal with, and we got an overheat warning. I'm gonna have to turn some stuff off. There we go. So things just got a little bit, I don't want to say annoying, but things are going to be difficult for our squad composition because we don't have any indirect fire. Thank goodness for the blackjack, though, because any target that moves up on this hill over here is going to get pew-pewed from long range. But unfortunately, we're just a little bit too far to do anything really meaningful, and that evasion is hurting us quite a bit. So what we'll do with the blackjack is jump into a new position, brace it down, and hopefully from here, our shot percentages are still going to be, you know, a little bit crappy, but at the same time, as the enemies start to move forward on us, we'll end up having we'll have pretty much full reign over the target. So I'm gonna take this shot, not really expecting it to hit, but if it does hit, it'll probably kill the target.
Bad guy down.
The game froze for a second because that shot was completely insane. Riddler is the real MVP. So let's see. This Jenner is the standard loadout. We don't know what these two are, so that's a little bit scary. And also, having Behemoth with only 70 health and 8 armor on her core, that's very worrying because she's a brawler, man. She wants to get up in there and put in work. I'm not ready to push her to the side just yet, but I am tempted to have her back facing at the enemies, or at the very least try and angle the side on them as much as possible to keep that core safe. So we'll do that. We'll jump down there and brace her and see how this goes. The Jenner moving forward. I think we're going to have another good sensor lock play with Dekker on that Jenner, and we'll send the AC shots with the... Oh, it doesn't even have evasion. Fun times. Well, okay, since we don't have to worry about sensor locking the Jenner because it didn't build any evasion, I think it's time for us to find out the true flanking capabilities of our Jenner. So I'm going to run all the way to this position by the mountain and pray that none of the enemies jump over the hill to kill me, because if they do, I will be absolutely mortified. It looks like our Vindicator is taking a lot of shots, but they're getting focused reasonably well onto the side of our mech, so we don't have to worry about the core. Yeah, our core didn't take any damage there, so that's good. But the real awesome side to this is we have free reign on both of these Jenners, and the lack of upkeep on them is disturbing. But I'm not going to do any multi-targeting here because I don't think we'll really get much out of it, because we won't get an instant kill on anything. Though maybe I feel like I should. The one thing about having multi-target is I feel like I'm wasting an ability slot if I don't use it, you know? So what the hell? We'll go for it. Just spread the love a little bit.
Firing on multiple enemies.
One shot, one exposed structure. Second shot, another exposed structure, and we destroyed an arm as well. So I think in the end, I think that wound up being a pretty good strategy.
Oh, I'm wounded.
Shit. Alright, we're taking a headshot on the Vindicator. But this guy, this 45-ton mech over here, is a bit intimidating. We definitely want to take that guy out.
Receiving you.
We're having a really hard time getting into range with everybody. It's such a long walk before we can do anything meaningful. Even jumping, I think I'm still out of the effective range of my weapons here. So, you know what we'll do? We'll move forward. We'll sprint forward, and just let our heat sinks do what they do.
Roger.
Now Behemoth is in a very, very terrifying position, because if I go up and try to face these Jenners and I don't kill at least one of them, then they're gonna focus fire her and probably hit the core with one of their shots, and that's no good. And at the same time, there's really I don't think there's any good options that I have with my Vindicator. There's nothing that can blow up or get critically hit in the core, so maybe I'm okay, but I'm super worried about this. We'll go for the Alpha Strike on the Jenner that has its full complement of weapons, because this one is basically got half of its normal firepower because we destroyed the arm. So I want to potentially destroy the bigger threat, and I'll make it even better. I'll go for a precision strike on the frickin' torso, on the core.
Engaging.
Wow. Behemoth is determined to save her life. She's not playing any games. All 5 of those lasers hit directly on the center torso, and that was beautiful. So the other Jenner moving, it did get to the front of the Vindicator, but most of the shots hit the side, with the center torso taking a hit from one SRM. It's terrifying. Thank goodness for Bulwark. Don't oh my gosh. My one jump jet is so pathetic that it can't get me to the top of the mountain. Wow. I've made a huge mistake in the construction of this mech. That's very, very disappointing. Oh man, I don't think I've ever been more disappointed in my entire life. Well, next turn, Dekker is going to have a flank on this 45-ton mech. They are focus firing. That is so intimidating. If I finish off this Jenny, then we'll get an inspiration and make up some of the morale that we used to use the ability in the first place. So totally worth it. Alright, so with all of this, we've pretty much got this in the bag, and I think we're at the point now where I can pull the Vinny to a position where it's line of sighting the enemy Vinny. It's a Vinny versus Vinny. Look at that. So yeah, if I line of sight the enemy Vinny, it won't really be able to do all that much to us. It can still fire the LRM, maybe, but we should be safe just kind of moving up here,
Roger that.
and then bracing ourselves. So yeah, we got this in the bag. And oh my goodness, the mountain is so high up that Dekker cannot jump on top of it with his one fucking jump jet. I'm never going to use the Jenner again. Holy crap. Or at the very least, I'm going to rebuild it completely, because this setup is really cool, but it's not working. At least not the way I want it to. What a tragedy.
Light damage. Holding firm.
Confirmed.
Firing jump jets.
Here you go.
Give them everything you've got.
Hostile eliminated.
Alright, well, I think we learned a lesson here today, and a very important one at that. One jump jet is not strong enough to get you up a very tall mountain. And that's super disappointing. Because I was so ready to go on the craziest flank you have ever seen in your life, and then to be thwarted by a very high cliff is just, it's crushing. And I'm sure Dekker is a little bit upset as well. So we're going to have to go back to the drawing board on our Jenner, because I don't want to put more jump jets on it because they take up a lot of weight and we'd have to sacrifice a lot of armor, at least with the current build. So maybe I can take off some lasers, just make it a lightweight LRM carrier and just kind of keep it on the periphery, pew pew people, sensor lock when I can. And that might wind up being a bit better overall. Or maybe I could just never use it again because I'm not happy with it. Oh boy. Oh boy. So yeah, we did take an injury on Behemoth. We got a bunch of pieces. If I chose to take more salvage, I could have taken 2 pieces of a commando, and that would have given us a full mech. But what I'll do instead is I'll take 1 piece and hope I get lucky with the second piece. Or I could take this LRM 5++, which is giving 25% crit and 1 stability damage, which seems pretty sexy. Or a medium laser plus. Oh my god, what's with all this good loot? Fuck. Why do we get all this good loot when I choose to not take a lot of loot? In the last mission, I chose to take a lot of loot, and we didn't get jack shit. This time, I choose to take no loot, and we get all the loot. This is terrible. Well, I can firmly say screw the commando, right? I don't need to put that thing together. It's cool, but it's not that cool. The medium laser plus is pretty sexy with the increased accuracy. From what I saw on the AC5 Plus that I have on the Blackjack, it was giving a 10% increase to hit with the +1 accuracy, so that feels pretty good. I'm going to go for the medium laser plus, because the medium laser is a staple for my Vindicator build, and just improving that with additional accuracy feels like the right thing to do. Of course, we get all the crap with all the great stuff that was in this salvage. We get 2 heat sinks and a commando piece. Whatever, game. I see how it is. Alright, so the last thing we're going to do is head back to the mech bay and fix up the Jenner. Because, man, what a tragedy that we made. I may not even use it much anymore because it hasn't really been doing it for me, man. But at the very least, I can change it up to make it at least semi-effective at doing something. So these SRM4s, we're not using them anymore. We're going to get rid of some of these medium lasers, and we're going to put on a bunch more jump jets. Because without the ability to fly around, it's completely useless. And 1 jump jet is the dumbest thing ever, apparently. So we'll pack in 4 of those bad boys to give us more maneuverability. We'll replace the SRMs with LRMs to give us the flexibility to shoot from range in those moments when there's nothing right in front of us. Now we've already run into the problem of stuff being just too heavy. And this is why I don't like the Jenner that much. If I want to have good firepower, I have to sacrifice everything else. I mean, I could take off the medium lasers as well and put on an LRM 5, so I got an LRM 15. which is, again, it's fine, I guess. There's really nothing that redeeming about this setup. It's dealing a stupidly low amount of damage, which I suppose would incentivize me to use sensor lock more often, but it almost feels like I'm a man down because of this super limited firepower. I'm gonna head to the shop real quick, and if there's anything good in there, like maybe an LRM 5 plus, then maybe I can do something better. We did it this time. We've got 3 jump jets, which should be more than enough to get to the top of even the highest mountains in the game, 2 medium lasers, and LRM 10. So this is going to be a true 100% support-oriented mech. The sensor lock is going to be the main thing that gets used from the sky. The LRM 10 is just going to be just very, very light damage on faraway targets when we don't have proper vision on them. Overall, I definitely want to have something better for that long-range supporting role, but I don't know. I really want to experiment with this Jenny and see if I can make something that I feel more comfortable with. Yeah, I want to keep experimenting with it. I think the old build had potential, but it's hard to say. I'll leave it at that because I could ramble on about this forever. I'm so determined to figure out the perfect build for this thing. It's driving me crazy. So with all of that said, the name of the game is Battletech. The name of the channel is iBluairJgR. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know what sort of Jenner build that you use in Battletech, if you use one at all. Do you think this mech is overrated or underrated? Because me personally, I'm having a hard time finding the perfect configuration for it that suits my playstyle. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.